shortly before the crucifixion. When Jesus was sent back to Pilate by Herod, Jesus turned to the apostle John and said, "John, you can no longer do anything for me. Go to my mother and bring her here to see me before I die." John looked at Jesus without understanding, because he thought that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was 150 kilometers to the north in Capernaum. Jesus saw his confusion and whispered, "Go to the camp at the Garden of Gethsemane, where your brother David will help you." John hurried out of the city to the camp on the Mount of Olives. David was surprised when John arrived, breathless, and after hearing everything, they rushed together to Bethany. A few days earlier, David, entirely on his own initiative and without anyone knowing, had summoned Jesus' family to come to Jerusalem. Jesus' family had recently arrived in Bethany, having left Jericho early that morning. John told them the sad news that Jesus was on trial before the Sanhedrin and that Jesus had asked him to bring his mother so that he could see her before he was put to death. After the apostle, John had told them everything that had happened since Jesus' arrest. Mary, the mother of Jesus, immediately set out with John to see her eldest son. By the time Mary and John reached the city, Jesus had already arrived at Golgotha under the compulsion of the Roman soldiers. When Mary, the mother of Jesus, set out with John to see her son, his sister Ruth refused to stay behind with the rest of the family. Determined to accompany her mother, her brother Judas also went with her. Fearing arrest, it was decided that the other members of Jesus' family would stay in Bethany, where they were kept informed almost hourly by messengers. Helplessly, they followed the slow death of their eldest brother on the cross. After Pilate symbolically washed his hands in the presence of the Jewish people, attempting to absolve himself of the crime of sentencing an innocent man to death because he did not dare oppose the loud threats of the Jewish leaders, he ordered that Jesus be handed over to the Roman soldiers. He gave a Roman captain the command to crucify Jesus immediately. After the soldiers took charge of Jesus, they brought him back to the courtyard of the city castle and removed the old royal robe. They returned his own clothes to him. This was not done gently, but they did not inflict any further corporal punishment. Jesus was now alone with the Roman soldiers. His friends were hiding. His enemies had gone their ways, and even John was no longer at his side. It was just after 8 o'clock when Pilate handed Jesus over to the soldiers, and just before 9 when they set out for the place of crucifixion. During that time, Jesus did not speak a single word. By the time the soldiers were ready to depart with Jesus for Golgotha, they were impressed by his unusual calmness and extraordinary dignity. The delay in departing with Jesus to the place of crucifixion was largely due to the captain's last-minute decision to take along 2 more condemned men. Once the captain had permission to crucify these 2 robbers as well, they were brought to the courtyard, where they laid their eyes on Jesus. For one of the robbers, it was the first time he saw Jesus, but the other had heard him speak a few times, first in the temple, and later he had even visited the camp at Pella.